Have you ever wondered what happens behind the scenes at an intense tennis tournament like the Cincinnati Open? The lights shine on the court, the applause roars, but often the most emotional moments take place far from the eyes of the public. This time, Carlos Alcaraz not only gave a lesson in tennis but also in humanity. After defeating Alexander Zverev in the semifinals, the young Spaniard surprised the world not only with his performance but also with his words. And now, a private message between the two has come to light. Do you want to know what Alcaraz really said? Find out below. On August 16, 2025, the Lindner Family Tennis Center in Cincinnati vibrated with every point. Carlos Alcaraz, world number 2, faced the German Alexander Zverev, ranked 3rd in the ATP. The first set was full of spectacular rallies, impossible shots, and an energy that made it impossible for the crowd to look away for even a second. Finally, the Spaniard prevailed 6-4, showing his power and agility. However, in the second set, the script changed. Zverev began showing signs of physical discomfort, an issue that forced him to request a medical timeout. Despite his effort, his mobility was compromised. Alcaraz, maintaining a great level of concentration, closed the set 6-3 and thus secured his place in the final. But what surprised the most was not his victory, but what happened afterward. Alcaraz, instead of celebrating with euphoria, appeared moved. He looked at the cameras and said, "Happy for the final, but feeling bad for Sasha. I wish you the best." That gesture of empathy touched the fans and showed that in tennis rivalry is not incompatible with respect. It was proof that beyond titles, there is a silent brotherhood between competitors. That night, the numbers also played a key role. With his victory, Alcaraz tied the head-to-head record at 6-6, making it clear that their rivalry is one of the most thrilling on the circuit today. However, the Spaniard himself admitted that it had been difficult to concentrate when he saw his opponent suffering. A detail that highlighted his maturity. What few knew was that, in addition to his public statements, Alcaraz decided to approach Zverev off the court. In the stadium's hallways, away from cameras and microphones, the Spaniard stopped for a few minutes to speak with him directly. It was there that he dedicated a message that until now remained secret. According to a source close to the tournament, Alcaraz told him, "Sasha, I know how hard this is, but don't let it put you down. You are one of the greatest and you still have so much to give. I want to see you strong in New York. If anyone can come back stronger, it's you." Words that reflected the admiration and sincerity of the Spanish champion. While fans debated on social media about the great final coming up against Jannik Sinner, news of Alcaraz's gesture began to spread. Not just because of what he said in front of the cameras, but also for that private encounter with Zverev. The leak of those words generated a wave of respect for the Spaniard, who showed that greatness is not measured only with trophies. Zverev, visibly affected, privately thanked Alcaraz's attitude. Although he did not speak directly about it to the media, it was known that his team acknowledged the nobility of the gesture. For an athlete who dreams of the US Open, those words could mean more than anything else, a reminder that resilience is an essential part of the journey. The atmosphere before the final became even more electric. Alcaraz arrived with an advantage in his record against Sinner, 8 wins to 5 losses, but with the fresh memory of his fall at Wimbledon. That rivalry promised to become one of the most intense of the season. The crowd was divided between those who wanted to see Sinner defend his title and those who dreamed of a new triumph for the Spaniard. The truth is that tennis was showing its most human side. The contrast between the tension on the court and the camaraderie off it made it clear that this sport is not only physical but also emotional. Each match is a battle of endurance, strategy, and heart. And that night, Alcaraz had given an unforgettable example. With Zverev in the middle of recovery and the US Open just around the corner, the question remained, would the German return to his best form? Time will tell. Meanwhile, Alcaraz's words continued to resonate among fans, who found in them a lesson of humility and empathy. The final between Alcaraz and Sinner promised to be historic. Beyond who would lift the trophy, the great story had already been written. A young Spaniard who, at just 22 years old, had shown that true success is not always measured in points, but in the ability to respect and lift up those who also fight in the same arena. The 2025 Cincinnati semifinal will not only be remembered for Carlos Alcaraz's victory but also for the sportsmanship shown toward Alexander Zverev. The leaked message reveals a human side that transcends competition and strengthens the bond between great rivals. While the eyes of the world focus on the imminent final against Jannik Sinner, what has become clear is that Alcaraz has already won something much greater: universal respect, not only as an athlete but as a person. Can you imagine facing the same rival over and over again and each time managing to bring out a better version of yourself? That is exactly what happens between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, a rivalry that is already making history in tennis. But in Cincinnati, the Spaniard has sent a direct and defiant message to his great opponent. Today we are going to discover the impactful message that Alcaraz sent to Sinner before the final, and why these words raise the tension of this much anticipated match even more. Carlos Alcaraz reached the Cincinnati final with a firm step after defeating Alexander Zverev in 2 sets, showing a devastating level of tennis. But what drew the most attention was not only his game but his later statements. The young Spaniard assured that he was ready not only physically and technically but mentally prepared to face Sinner again, acknowledging that this duel motivates him to reach his maximum level. His words were not simple phrases but a warning full of ambition. The most impactful message came when Alcaraz declared, "I'm ready to see what I did wrong in the last match and try to improve." That phrase contains much more than it seems, because it means he is not satisfied with his current level. He is willing to learn from every defeat, to polish details, and return even stronger. For Sinner, those words are a reminder that he will face a rival who never gives up and always seeks to evolve. In this rivalry, mutual respect is evident, but so is extreme competitiveness. Alcaraz pointed out that, thanks to Sinner, he manages to bring out the best in himself, implicitly acknowledging that the Italian has become a mirror that constantly challenges him. It is a message that mixes admiration and defiance, as if saying, "You force me to be better, but I will use that to surpass you." The balance between respect and ambition makes these statements truly powerful. The phrase "I'm ready to face the challenge" perfectly sums up the Mercian's mindset. He does not see the final as just a simple match but as an opportunity for personal and professional growth. Each confrontation against Sinner is not only a sporting clash but a chapter within a greater story, where both fight to become the undisputed reference in world tennis. That approach makes the duel something bigger than a title. What is most intriguing is the confidence Alcaraz conveys by stating that he will adjust his game to be perfect. Talking about perfection before a final against such a demanding rival as Sinner is a message of determination. He is telling the Italian, indirectly, that he will not settle for anything less than his best version. It is a declaration of intent that further raises public expectations. The impact of these words did not go unnoticed. Fans and the press have already interpreted them as a direct challenge, a way to ignite the build-up to the final and turn it into a spectacle full of tension. Alcaraz not only plays with the racket, he also knows how to play with the mind, and with this message he makes it clear that his goal is to deliver a statement victory in Cincinnati. The background of this message also reflects surprising maturity for Alcaraz's age. Recognizing mistakes, analyzing them, and being willing to correct them in record time is a trait of great champions. This makes him an even more dangerous rival because every previous defeat turns into a lesson. For Sinner, receiving that message means facing a renewed and hungry Alcaraz seeking revenge. The way Alcaraz spoke about the day before the final also sends a powerful message: tomorrow is a day off. I'll try to adjust my game a bit better to be 100% ready. It is not about resting for the sake of resting but about making use of every moment to prepare thoroughly. It is a declaration of discipline, absolute focus, and commitment to excellence, something not every player manages to convey so clearly. Sinner, no doubt, will have taken these words seriously. Both know that each match is as much a mental battle as a physical one. When Alcaraz assures that he seeks perfection, he is establishing a psychological ground in which he demonstrates confidence, security, and hunger for victory. It is not an open provocation but rather a warning that he does not intend to give up an inch on the court. The public, for their part, already perceives this message as a kind of prologue to the final. It is not just what is played with the racket but also what is generated with words. Alcaraz has known how to spark expectation, turning his message into a catalyst of emotions. Each fan is now more eager to see if he will fulfill what he promised, a perfect level against his great rival. At this stage of the season, with the US Open just around the corner, the Cincinnati final takes on even greater significance. What Alcaraz has expressed publicly is, in a way, a reminder to the entire circuit: he is ready to correct, improve, and dominate. It is not a message addressed only to Sinner but also to the rest of the players looking for their chance in the American swing. The duel between them already promised to be spectacular, but Alcaraz's message raises it to another level. Now it is not only about who takes the title but about seeing whether the Mercian's words turn into facts on the court. Expectations are at their highest, and the impact of his statements will be measured point by point in the most anticipated final of the summer. Carlos Alcaraz's message to Jannik Sinner before the Cincinnati final was no coincidence. It was a clear warning. He is ready to correct mistakes, achieve perfection, and push his tennis to the limit. Words that mix respect, confidence, and defiance, putting the Italian against a rival who not only plays with talent but also with a winning mindset. The final, beyond the result, will be the stage where it will be proven whether Alcaraz can turn his impactful declaration into a historic performance.